Hello, welcome to Breakfast Central this Wednesday here on News Central TV. This is where we bring you the latest news, information and discussions. Just the right place to start your day. I am Benga Aborowa.
And I am Olive Emodi. Thank you very much for joining us. Unfortunately, today should have been the representing of the 2025 budget in Rivers State, but what should have been the representing of the budget has been overtaken by events, of course, due to the announcement of the state of emergency, the activation by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We'll be looking into the details of this, what it means, and the constitutionality or otherwise of the president suspending the executive governor in a democratic government. I am Olive Emodi, and you're welcome.
Most definitely. And everyone seems to be asking one big question. How did you feel, especially watching the State of the Nation broadcast by the #1 citizen, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, yesterday? Now, the declaration was made and different reactions did happen. But prior to that, there were indeed a lot of, would say, upheavals, blasts taking place in Rivers State where pipeline vandalization started all over again. Now, earlier in the day, if you recall, the response or the reports we did get was that there was a fire incident in some of the pipeline areas in Rivers State. But it turned out to be that it was indeed a blast. No one has fully come out with your full chest, if you put it that way, in the Nigerian diction, to state that we were the ones who carried out this action. But there are speculations neither here or there. We also remember that the Ijaw youths did come out yesterday to block the road and say that today is today. In other words, like they sang, this is the day to them that the Lord has made. But I guess the president told them,
You will not rejoice and be glad.
You will not rejoice. Let me set matters straight. Anyway, welcome to Breakfast Central. I'm Joe Hansen. So I think we can get into the details of the story right away, Binga.
Yeah, let's start with the oil pipeline explosions in the Niger Delta yesterday. There were reports of at least two major blast, and this was one of the reasons that informed the president's decision to declare a state of emergency in Rivers State. Like Joe said earlier, no group has yet to claim responsibility for this. Another explosion occurred at a pipeline manifold in the Omwariwa axis of Ogba Egbema and Doni local government area of Rivers State on Tuesday. This comes just hours after a similar explosion rocked the Trans-Niger pipeline operated by Shell in Bodo Gokana local government area. The latest incident reportedly occurred at a manifold connecting a federal pipeline deep in the forest. Joe, if you recall, the Federal Capital Territory Minister's media parley last week when some journalists raised these issues of threats, because we've seen the handwriting on the wall. They've been threatening fire and brimstone. And the minister retorted and said, who's born a militant? Who is a militant? Who was born a militant? And I mean, the militants are now answering their father or mother's name.
It's a tough one, Binga. There are reports as well, especially from other quarters, who have come to say that the president shouldn't have gone for a complete state of emergency on Rivers State. The reasons, they said the president should have learned from his predecessor, in this case, who happens to be President Muhammadu Buhari, during his 8-year tenure, who did recall how the militants and insurgency in the Niger Delta did affect his tenure. In that way, we did see how Nigeria's oil-producing barrels went from 2,500 to about 400,000, 400, per barrel, and how it did affect the economy. And now that the economy is even struggling, many have said this wouldn't have been the right way to go. They've even said that the president may have been ill-advised by a fifth constitution, or you could say by someone or a set of people who really don't care about the situation of things. Olive.
So the concerns are starting to brew about what the implication of the state of emergency regarding the oil pipelines will be. Are we expecting to see more explosions? Are we expecting to see it become a controlled situation? Recall that the Minister of the FCT had said that heaven will not fall if Governor Siminalayi Fubara is impeached, basically alluding to the fact that, like Benga said, it's not really, there's no big deal about being a militant, and nobody is born a militant, like he said. But coming down to the conversation about the state of emergency, Yesterday, in a live broadcast, the president announced his invocation of Section 305 of the Constitution that gives him the power to say, of course, that there is a state of emergency because of the breakdown of law and order in Rivers State, stating that the warring factions refused to allow him. He intervened, but they refused to listen to his intervention. He talked, of course, about the breakdown of the House of Assembly complex by Governor Siminalayi Fubara and the fact that he has not yet rebuilt same. He talked about the Supreme Court judgment that came out in February and all the ills that were mentioned, the rascality, executive rascality as they refer to it as, the actions that Governor Siminalayi Fubara has taken in the past few months, refusing to pay legislators their salary. But beyond all of this, the one major argument we've seen all over social media is not the fact that the president activated the state of emergency, invoked the state of emergency, even though the how reasonable it is subject to argument. But the main cause of concern we've seen is the constitutionality of the president to suspend a democratically elected governor. And I'll take that again. The constitutionality of a democratically elected president to suspend a democratically elected governor as well as democratically elected House of Assembly. So they're talking about there are no clear-cut provisions about this in the Constitution, although we've seen, if we go back in time and we follow the journey of state of emergencies, right from the Western region in 1962, we saw Obasanjo also invoke the state of emergency. When he did his, he of course suspended the governors at the time. He suspended Governor Joshua Darie in Plateau State, saying that Governor Joshua Darie could not curb insecurity. So we've seen him do that. We also saw President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, however, when he did his, he did not suspend the governors. He took a different line because, one, there is no clear-cut provision or instruction in the Constitution that empowers the executive governor to the executive president to suspend the executive governor. So these are the issues, and what that will mean, what the next steps are for Rivers State. If Rivers State can backtrack from all of this, if there still is hope, if there still is a chance, as some of the conversations we'll be exploring this morning.
Very tough one, we could say. We wonder what Rivers is looking like this morning. Our reporters have done a very great job, and they will do so when they get to join us and circle around the state and find out what the indigents are saying. There's a bit of mixed reactions, by the way, we must mention this morning. Some are for and some are against. Now, those who are for the state of the nation are saying that it's for the general peace of the society and the people of Rivers State, not basically for the political aspect of it, while those who are against are saying that the president has wielded more power to the FCT minister, who seems not to have been punished, in other words, who has not actually been spoken to by the president. But don't forget too that let's also state clearly that according to Section 305 of the 1999 Constitution, most importantly, looking at the subsection 4, the Speaker of the Assembly, and not forgetting to the President, I beg your pardon, of the National Assembly and the Speaker of the Senate would indeed have at least 4 weeks to either accept this state of the nation by the president, or they would either reject it. But many have gone on to say, of course, we know what will happen now. They will go ahead and accept it. There's nothing else to expect. But there also information that the president had sat down with security operatives before he did call for that broadcast.
They had a meeting with
yes, they had a meeting,
national security
and they looked at it in the entirety, what the risk is, and so on. We do have a poll that we're going to shoot up, and we'd like you to react to the poll. Surprisingly, Nigerians are already reacting to the poll. We're asking, what do you think? So go on X, or better still, formerly known as Twitter. Let's see if we can get that poll up. We'd like you to react to it. Tell us, what is your take on President Tinubu's declaration of a state of emergency and suspension of officials in Rivers State? So far, the results are already trickling in, we can say. 68% are saying it is unnecessary, and 23% say it is necessary, and 9% is saying that they are indifferent. In other words, they do not care. But there's a reason why you should care, Oliver Ngbenga, because if anything happens to the oil blocks or the pipeline vandalization increases, we know what it will have.
It has serious implications for our economy. Nigeria is an oil base. Most of our FX is gotten from oil. So that's why most of those that support this declaration of a state of emergency say the president is not just protecting peace in River State. River State is different. It's not Plateau. It's not the Northeast. It's very critical to our survival as a country and our financial well-being and economy. So he had to act to prevent a total breakdown of law and order, because that's what it seemed it was driving at. And they said that hard reset button is necessary so that all the political gladiators can cool off, and maybe after 6 months, the initial period of the suspension, they'll get their acts together and, of course, govern properly and be matured about it. The sole administrator, the former chief of naval staff, also has his work cut out for him. But I believe we'll discuss all of this in detail during the course of the program.
And then just to quickly mention, when we talked about, you were talking about the constitutional provision about getting the support of the National Assembly. We're seeing here that representatives have said that the president did sit with them, not just Security Council, but with the National Assembly, and that there was a letter that will be made public where they, of course, he sought the permission and the approval, or maybe I would say ratification of the National Assembly. But we would get more details as today unfolds, and we would have lawyers join us, as well as political bigwigs, elder statesmen joining us from Rivers State to share what the current reality is, what the next steps are, if there is hope for Rivers State to get out of this situation. These are some of the conversations. But if you're in Rivers State, it's important that you share with us the state of affairs as well. Are you able to go to work? Is there some tension in the air? Please tweet at News Central TV.
Absolutely. Let's also mention that right before we come to our headlines this morning, let's also mention that while all of this was happening in Rivers State and everybody seemed to have been head over heels, worried, different concerns, mixed reactions, well, a former presidential candidate of the Labour Party, talking about Mr. Peter Obi, decided to go the other way. Maybe he would speak on the Rivers State crisis.
I'm sure he will.
Yes, but he went on and told the Nigerian youths, it's time. I have joined you on TikTok.
I love it.
Yes, so the question is, many are wondering if Peter Obi would do some TikTok challenge.
In fact, I have a suggestion for the next challenge he should do. But let's take a look at the video.
This is my official and only TikTok page. Kindly join me towards building a new Nigeria that is possible.
Thing is, there are people who are asking if this is AI. We're not quite sure if it really is him or if it's AI in this world.
That's Peter Obi. Yeah.
Sorry?
That's
it's certainly Peter Obi.
Yeah.
Okay. But if it is, I think again, it underscores the strength of the youth in being able to wield great influence in political conversations. They say if you want to catch a rat, you have to know how a rat works, right? You have to speak the language. So in this sense, no, Nigerian youth
Olive, wait, I want to ask. I mean, we all know that TikTok predominantly is
for young
for Gen Z.
Yes.
And we know they have this
challenge.
Challenge. Are you trying to say that to catch the Gen Z?
Oh, those are part of the things he has to do.
Yeah, he's being too serious. This is TikTok.
Yeah, this is TikTok. I mean, we saw Kamala Harris. When Kamala Harris was campaigning, she did everything she needed to do. Went on SNL Live, did parodies. You do the things that you need to do to be able to get their attention. Gen Zs are a very critical part of Nigeria's transformation, political transformation. We've seen the influence that Gen Zs have wielded in the protest. Even more recently with Ms. Ritter, of course, speaking and saying President Tinubu is a terrible president. Imagine this small, young woman, this Gen Z babe, all of a sudden gathering national and global attention, and everybody speaking for her. So already speaking for her. In fact, following her. Former Vice President Alhaji Atiku Abubakar speaking up in support of her. Obi Ezekwesili speaking up in support of her. Again, it shows that you cannot ignore Gen Zs in political conversations.
Just like, you remind me of Donald Trump, when he said, that's my son, Baron Trump, give it to him, because he actually did a lot of work on social media and so on. Yeah, I mean, so I get your point, If Baron Trump put in the effort to ensure, I mean, Sheyi Tinubu is also putting in the effort now. Is he on TikTok?
Well,
it's a question, is he on TikTok?
No comment.
Okay, it's fine. Anyway, back to you, Benga.
Yeah, so I guess that's it, Mr. Peter Obi. We wish you well in your TikTok journey, and we hope you'll be more, TikTok is lighthearted. You need to relax a bit and
It was too
properly
serious,
join.
eh?
We look forward to you doing 1 or 2 challenges in the
No,
future.
he's not too serious. It's the most relaxed. I think it's one of the
But
most
I mean,
relaxed.
he will he's a trendsetter. At least he's the first of the big political gladiators to join TikTok. And you know, Nigeria, we like follow. So I won't be surprised if others follow suit.
Anyway, more stories to come your way. That's all here on Wake Up Conversations. It's all about River State. Do you think the president was right to suspend the River State Governor, Siminalayi Fubara, his deputy, and of course, the Assembly? And you can go ahead on X, drop your comments. The polls are up right there on the screen. What is your take on President Tinubu's declaration of state of emergency and suspension of officials in River State? So far, so good. It is unnecessary. It is taking the lead. Let us know what you think. Go ahead on X at News Central TV and drop your comments. Let's bring to you what's coming up here on Breakfast Central on a Wednesday morning.